Ah, ça doit être lui. You're the correspondent from the London Post, right? Perfect. Oh, hello. I'm Jeanne from Le Quotidien. A pleasure to meet you. Hmm? How do I know it's you? You mean from all the other people in the café? Easy. You're the one that seems the most lost of a bunch, never glancing at your menu, dressed in a English fashion. And Marcel, the owner, told me you do not speak a word of French, so I'm a fine detective indeed. And I'm so sorry for being late. There's a protest not so far from here. Had to take a few pictures and interview some of the participants. Oh, you saw it too. So, what did you think? Impressive, right? The French protesting isn't a legend, no. We almost do it on a weekly basis. What is this one for? Salary raise for a big company based here in Paris. Their employees' working conditions are the worst by today's standards. I got a few stories and it's not pretty at all. Hopefully I will be able to write something for tomorrow morning and it might help their cause a little. Who knows? Yes, I report on the miscellaneous news items. Is that, weird? Oh, I see. Don't worry, no offense taken at all. I actually am really lucky to have gotten this place. For a woman, I mean. I used to write for my papers fashion columns, a few paragraphs at the end. But with perseverance and annoying the hell out of my boss, I got promoted, as they call it, to miscellaneous news. Thank you. But there's a catch. Always is. I can write for these pages, but not under my name. Why? I guess a woman's name for such a popular column could mean too much bad press for the paper, so I had to choose an alias. A male one. What is it? Camille Martin. Camille can both be used for men and women, and Martin is a super generic family name here. Not super catchy, I'll give you that, but it works. I'm sorry. We're only talking about me here. Not the best topic in town. What about you? You arrived this morning in Paris, right? So you traveled by night? The journey must have been quite exhausting. 2 trains on a ferry? That's... Oh, you flew here. Wow, that must be amazing. That means that you've flown from Croydon to Le Bourget, right? And you saw the channel from up there. The view should be incredible. Did you take pictures? I'm sorry. I always get really excited when it comes to planes. I've never been on one, no, never. I've seen many, especially during the war, but Even in that time, I've only traveled on my bike or by train. Would you like something to drink and or eat? Tea and nothing else? You're sure? They have delicious pastries here, you know. You'll take what I recommend. Huh. Your taste buds are in my hands then. I better not disappoint you. Alors, ça sera un café court pour moi, un thé pour monsieur et 2 éclairs à la vanille. Merci Marcel. I am not sure what the tea selection looks like here, but the pastries are tasty. Éclair à la vanille. It means vanilla lightning. It's pretty much a long chou à la crème. You'll see. It really is delicious. So, you came here to write a series of articles on Paris, right? At least that's what my boss told me. I see. So, a special edition of the London Post for the nearing summer holidays. That's a very nice idea. That's my new side job, yes. Helping you in your endeavor. Seems like our bosses know each other and they help one another from time to time. Oh, don't worry. It's a nice change of pace for me. And I get to speak English, which isn't the easiest with my country folk. Well, as you have probably already noticed, French people, we're not the best at speaking in English. Or I should say, we don't really bother to. Why? Huh. Great question. I'd say it's probably because we are really proud and believe everybody should learn French. Or it has probably something to do with the fact that French almost became the international language, but English beat us to it. So now, in resentment, we speak English with a really thick French accent or do not speak it at all. Me? Well, it would be extremely rude of me not to speak in English with you. And it would also be impossible for the both of us to communicate, knowing that you do not speak a word of French. But worry not, there are plenty of translators in town, all eager to earn a bit of money by helping tourists. I'll give you a few names for your articles. That will help your audience a lot. Where did I learn English? That was during the war, the second one. First, I was too young. I was often in contact with British and American soldiers, so that's that. Well, I helped out a bit, or at least as much as I could. When it all started, I didn't have a degree or anything. I couldn't become a nurse, for example. So I found a job at the post office. It may sound a bit ridiculous, but I had a very important job, bringing letters to and from the front lines. Well, behind the lines, to be more precise. You fought, haven't you? I can tell. Met my fair share of soldiers. You give off that vibe. Something in your eyes. A void. A gaze that has seen a lot and doesn't want to remember. I've seen some things, yes, but nothing as horrible as what you've experienced on the battlefield. And this is where I should thank you for your service. Without you, the world would be in a horrible, horrible place, for lack of better words. So, thank you very much for all your sacrifices. My job was to bring letters from family and loved ones to the soldiers, yes. I'm sure it must have been a little bit of comfort in the darkest of times. I still remember the smiles on soldiers' faces every time I would arrive on my bike. So happy they all were. Less when no letter was meant for them. Ecstatic when someone wrote them. A parent, a friend, a fiancé. How does one become a journalist after that? That's easy. During one of my shifts, I found a camera, or I should say, I found a soldier who gave it to me. He was afraid it would break during the fights, so he entrusted me with it. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. He died a day or two after we met. So I started using it, learned how to develop film, and started documenting my job and the soldiers I met. I don't really know why I did it, really. Felt like the right thing to do, especially with those who had no one waiting for them back home. With me, they could tell their story, how they felt, their fears, their hopes, dreams. So I wrote everything on small notebooks. Still have everything today. Compiled it into an album. I thought it would interest a publisher, but none of them give me a positive answer. Only 5 years have passed. It's a bit too early. People don't want to remember the worst, and I can't blame them, really. I try to forget myself. But maybe one day it will come in handy. One never knows, right? For future generations, to show them how it was, so they never go back this route ever again. Oh no, I've only started working at my current newspaper after the liberation. When France, or I should say when the French government at the time gave up and the occupation started, I kept on documenting. Yes, I stayed in Paris. Why? I guess I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to see my city in the hands of the enemy. I wanted to do something, even if it was something small. So I kept taking pictures for La Résistance and started writing reports for independent newspapers. So those who managed to escape would know what was happening in occupied France. With time, I guess I got a name in the journalistic world, yes. Ethan thought that would be hired in the political columns or something big and fancy like that. I've always been a little bit too naive, I think. Oh yes, they put me straight into fashion. I guess I was lucky, in a way. Other women were relegated to proofreader posts. I was able to write, even though the topic didn't interest me at all. And this is where I am today. After reporting on the war, I am reporting on the small happenings of Parisian life. I do enjoy it, don't get me wrong. Sometimes interesting things happen. Indeed, like today's protest. Or the appearance of an English journalist, war veteran, who desperately needs my help to navigate in French-speaking Paris. That, I am sure, is going to be quite the adventure. Oh, and here is our order. Now, the real thing begins. The tasting of French pastries. If you like it, you should definitely write about this place in one of your articles. I am sure Marcel will be more than happy to get more English-speaking customers.